You've got a pile of scraps you can't bring yourself to throw away, but they're taking over your workshop, and you know deep down you'll never actually use them. But what if I told you that hidden in those scraps are 5 workshop jigs you haven't built yet? I get it, I'm a woodworker too, and my scrap pile was getting out of hand until I realised this. In this video, I'll show you exactly how to turn at least some of your scrap pile into 5 workshop jigs, plus a bonus tip that will actually improve your woodworking and cost you absolutely nothing. Let me show you what I mean. This is my scrap storage. And in this cupboard here, and these bits over there, yeah, those pieces I've got stacked up here. And here's the thing, we all do this. And truthfully, I'll never use most of them. They'll sit here until I eventually throw them away anyway, but not before they've cluttered up my workshop for months or maybe years. But what if I told you that these scraps could become genuinely useful workshop jigs? Let me show you what's possible. A bench hook for safer hand tool work, a push stick that actually fits your hand, a drawer pull guide for perfect hardware placement, a sled for boards that are too small or too thin to go through your thicknesses safely, and corner clamps that actually keep your glue up square. I'm going to show you how to build each one, and you can see the chapter markers on screen. I've also put them in the description below so you can jump straight to whichever jig interests you most. Plus, I'll show you a bonus tip at the end that turns any scrap into a useful stop block. A bench hook makes using a handsaw so much safer and much more accurate. Not only does it give you a fence to secure your work against, it also makes getting square cuts much easier. This is perfect for a medium-sized flat piece and a couple of sticks. The key is it needs to be stable and square. Now watch how this transforms using a handsaw. Whether you prefer a Western saw or a Japanese one, your work is secure, your hands are safe, and your cuts are accurate. The push stick that comes with your table saw may not be the best option. You need something that gives you real control while keeping your fingers well away from the blade. For this piece, I'm using some 18mm or 3/4 inch plywood. You could also use 12mm 1/2 inch ply as well. It needs to be thick enough to be comfortable, but not so thick it feels clunky. Okay, so I've got a piece of scrap here. Yeah, it's 610 wide, so this is just a straight offcut piece from a sheet of plywood. This is the old one. The heel has been glued on because I've cut through it a couple of times, and that's the nice thing about these. When the heel wears out, you can cut it off and put another piece of scrap on the bottom and extend the life. But it comes to a point where they start getting chewed up on the ends. This one's not too bad, but I'm going to take the opportunity to make another one. In fact, because I've got the room on here, I'm going to make 2. The nice thing about this is it fits nicely, and you've got an element of leverage to push down as well. Feel that control? This keeps your hands safe while giving you the grip you need for accurate cuts. Getting drawer pulls perfectly centred and aligned is one of those jobs that should be simple, but somehow never is. Measure wrong once and you've got to fill holes and start over, sometimes ruining the job. A small, straight piece is perfect for this.
So I've got two pieces of 6mm 1/4" MDF. You could use plywood or whatever you've got to hand, as long as it's flat and stable. So the first thing you need to do is cut this so that the height of it is the same as the height of the drawer front and the face piece on both sides.
So time to assemble the jig now. We'll start off by putting a bit of Sled glue just along the edge. When we bring our drawer front in, it slots over the corner nicely. We've already marked our hole positions. And then when we drill those out, each drawer in our stack or run of drawers will be perfectly aligned and in the same place, both horizontally and vertically.
If you don't own a surface planer and your board is twisted or cupped when you run it through the thicknesser, those imperfections will be replicated on the other side of your board and it will come out even worse than before. Also, some boards are too thin or too short to go through your thicknesser safely. The answer is a sled that will hold your work securely and transport it through the machine in safety. This needs a flat, stable base. It needs to be narrow enough to fit through the thicknesser, 305mm in my case, and this one's going to be 450mm long, but you can make it longer if you need to. I'm using melamine face chipboard because it's stable and strong and really easy to clean, but you could use plywood or MDF, as long as it's a stable, flat piece. The stop's really important because it stops the wood from sliding backwards on the sled.
Here's a piece of wood with a bow, as you can see. This won't lay flat, so I'm using a shim to hold it level so it doesn't rock. Then fixing it in place with hot glue. We'll give that a few moments to dry and then run the wood through the machine.
Now I can safely plane boards that would be impossible or dangerous without the sled. Safe, accurate, repeatable. Keeping corners square during glue up is one of the most frustrating parts of any project. Regular clamps slip, don't hold square, or get in the way of other clamps. Corner clamps are a simple solution that work every time. You can make them whatever size you need, just make sure they're big enough to work with your squeeze clamps or F clamps.
Now we've got our piece of wood, 200 by 200. What we'll do now is cut it on a diagonal on the miter saw. So the idea is we're going to make two clamps from this. So the reason I've divided it in four is that we're going to have a hole there and a hole there, and you need something big enough to get this clamp through. Before we do that, I'll mark it up and then you'll see how we're going to lay this out. So in each one we're going to have 2 circles big enough to get these clamps through. Let's imagine we're going to join these 2 pieces of wood together. Try and get that perfectly aligned, and when you've got glue on there it's going to be slipping around all over the place, and it makes it quite tricky to keep it square. And even with no mechanical fixings, you can see that that's going to be a really good square corner.
Look how easy this makes corner glue ups. Perfect 90-degree angles every time, and the clamps actually stay where you put them. Here's your bonus tip. In woodworking, repeatability is king. Nobody will care if your 900mm high table is 898 or 901. But they'll sure notice if one leg is 2mm out and the table wobbles every time somebody uses it. The best way to ensure consistency is to use a stop block. But you don't always need to buy or make a fancy one for your miter saw. Sometimes a simple scrap clamped to your fence is perfect. This is adjustable and costs nothing. Not every solution has to be permanent. Sometimes simple is better. Now that you've seen how useful these scrap projects can be, you're probably looking at your scrap pile differently and wondering what else you could make. But workshop jigs are just the beginning. Most woodworkers waste even more space in their own homes with awkward corner cabinets and cluttered storage and don't even realise it. So check out this video next, where I'll show you the hidden storage solution that transformed my own kitchen corner cabinet and how to reclaim space you didn't even know you had.